Hello guys and welcome to another video. Today we will be discussing about queues in Java. A queue is nothing but an array that stores or follows some specific algorithm to insert and delete data within that array. A queue follows the first in first out format where whichever value comes first goes out first, which means the value that has been entered into that queue first will be deleted first. So without the deletion of that first value, we cannot go on to the second value. I can easily explain this by using a drawing. So if I take this is a visual representation of a queue. So let's say a queue has 2 points, let's say the first point and the last point. The insertion happens at the last point. So generally both of these points start at the same stage and the last constantly moves as a value is inserted. So if a value is inserted at 0, it stays at 0, and then if a value is inserted at 1, it goes to 1. And similarly, it moves to that last specific position of that queue. Whenever a value is deleted from that queue, the first value gets moved to that next element, so the first index. The deleted value is removed from that specific queue, and the first value is moved to that next index. So similarly, after all the elements are removed from that queue, it constantly moves to the next spot and reaches the last, where you can say when the first and last values are equal or at the same position, that means the queue is empty. So now, as I have said, it follows the first in, first out format. So the best example for the queue would be a real life example would be a ticket counter. Let's say you're waiting for a ticket at a movie theater, and you generally follow a queue where the first one that is into the line gets the ticket first. So after he buys that ticket, he moves out of that queue, and the next position will be moving forward. So the first person or whoever is at this second position will go to that first position. The implementation of queues is a bit different from array lists and linked lists in Java. So if I want to discuss or if I want to show that in a code, I can easily explain it. So let's go to the code. And here you can see we have imported java.util.linked list and queue. You may be getting the doubt why we are importing a linked list. So I just want to show you by actually creating an error that explains the problem. So I have already imported the queue as well. So if I try and make this now, we follow the same format. So let's create a queue that follows, let's say, it follows the data type string. And if I say again, let's just create a name, and I can create a new queue. As you can see already, it has a different formatting. And if I try to print, let's say the queues, the names is the name of the queue, so I can just do this. And if I try to run the program now, you can see that exception in thread main unresolved compilation cannot instantiate the type queue. So the problem in Java is the queue is not present in the collections or the util class by default. So you can only implement queues in a program by using either the linked list or a priority queue. So let's also actually import both priority queue as well. So if I just do this, and I want to import priority queue. So I have done that now, and now if I check out the program, so as you can see, this error, we already seen this error. So I have already explained to you why we cannot create using this queue. So now what I want to do is I'll just change here. I want to change it from this to a linked list. And again, if I just remove this, I want to say again. Now we have created a queue. Let's just clear the terminal for now. And if I see that, if I try to run this program now, you can see that it has actually created an empty queue. So now we have created a queue within Java. And as you can see, if I keep it or if I position my cursor on this, we can see the methods that it supports. So let's say add, remove an element. Generally for queues, we use the offer method, the poll method, and the peek method because queue also has a peek function which shows the value that is at the first element or at the top, for example, let's say. So now if you want to add values, I'll just do this here. It's called names. So names dot offer. So it's a string. Let me give a name, say Tom. And let's just again populate this queue for now. And if I do this, and I'll just say Tom, and let's say Jerry, and let's just say it's 5. So now if I run the program again, we see that we have created a queue or a representational queue by using the linked list class from the utils position. So now if I try to remove again, as I say, to remove the values from a queue, we can use the poll method. So if I just say poll, Actually, we don't need to give any value within this poll method unless you want to remove a specific method. Then you can give some value. So I don't want to give any value because generally in a queue we can only remove values from the front. So this is the front value is Tom right now. So again, you can't really give values for that poll method. It only removes the first element that is present within that queue. So now if I run the program, it has removed Tom obviously, but so again if I do it, again. So let's just check what happens. I'll remove this code again, but it removes again the first element that is present. So in this, you don't really have much of a dynamic changing within that queue because a queue follows a specific format of the first in first out. So the element that has been entered first will be removed first. So I'll just remove this, and you can just remember this method that is poll, which is used to remove elements from a queue. So why I'm trying to use the offer and poll methods is because I'm trying to imitate, or I'm trying to you know implement a queue rather than a linked list. So if it was a linked list, I could have used add and remove. So but in a linked list, we see that we also have methods like remove last and remove first. So that completely fails the concept of queues itself, which means in queues we can only remove elements from the first. As I've said, deletion happens at the start. So we can't just remove last from that queue, which means it completely goes against the idea of, or a fundamental basic concept of that queue itself. So that is why I'm trying to explain to you to use the methods like names.offer and names.poll to implement a queue within Java. And another method, again, actually, I've already spoken about it. Let's just say, I want to say names dot peak. So again, if I run the program, you can see that it shows the value spike. It shows the value because we have actually deleted the Tom value already. So if I just remove this, and if I try to save and try to run the program again, you can see that this peak value is at Tom. Again, as I've said, the method peak shows the value that is at the start. So again, if you read this, it retrieves but does not remove the head of this queue. It returns null if the queue is empty. Again, you can just read this if you have interest. I don't normally read that. I have already explained to you what a queue peak does. If you have implemented queues in C already, you can understand what the peak method actually does. But this is the concept of queues within Java. So if you have any doubts, please comment down below. If you have understood the concept of queues, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and also turn on the bell icon for more further updates on data structures in Java. I'm also creating a playlist for data structures in Java, so please try to save that playlist as well, and I will be posting videos continuously so that you can learn and understand these concepts continuously. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.